Good morning and welcome to Lovin Daily. This is Tim and I'm joined today by JP at Sapardi. How are you, JP?
I'm good, Tim. How are you?
I'm pretty good. We're off after a long weekend and let's get right into it. So, these are our stories of the day. Malta confirmed no new COVID cases and today is our final day in a state of public health emergency. New serious allegations are coming out in terms of Yorgen Fenech's relationship with senior cabinet members, including an alleged sexual affair. A Miss World Malta contestant has responded to a particularly racist comment and got a lot of support in the process. A study showed that Malta's property market has slowed down even before the COVID-19 pandemic hit the islands, and a controversy erupted after video footage by animal activists of the video footage emerged of a rabbit market. So let's start with the first one. JP, 0 new COVID-19 cases.
Absolutely. Perhaps the most exciting news for Maltese people leading up to the reopening of the airports tomorrow. Malta has confirmed 0 new cases. We're speaking about yesterday, of course. We don't know the results as of today, but that makes it 5 of the past 7 days in which we've had 0 new cases, bringing our total active cases down to 22, which is great news to hear given that the airport is opening tomorrow. Malta's public health emergency is being lifted, which also means mass gatherings can take place and whatnot. It's news Maltese people want to hear at this time, as summer approaches, especially. 0 new cases. It's signs of better times to come. Let's hope that today also brings another day of the 0 new cases and more recoveries. I think 22 active cases. It's lowest it's been for the longest time. And I don't think we've had so many days where we've had 0 new cases. So definitely good news for the coming few days. And let's hope it stays this way when the airport partially reopens and when it fully reopens on 15 July. Let's also not forget, in the global scheme of things, when it comes to COVID-19, the world did hit a grim milestone with 10 million infected cases worldwide, but also that taking consideration that really affects areas of Latin America, the US and Africa. What do you think?
In fact, the World Health Organization is saying the worst is yet to come. Make of that what you will. However, Malta has shown, I think, that it handled itself pretty remarkably throughout this whole crisis. Our hospitals have never been close to being full with COVID-19 patients, and now, as you rightly said, the airport is set to reopen. There are some concerns, obviously, that we're going to, there won't be any tests for tourists as well, so there's some concerns that the virus might spread. But I think so far, the health authorities have shown that they've done a pretty great job, especially, as you said, considering with how some other countries have been brought to their knees as a result of this crisis, and I think it helps to have a little bit of optimism about the situation. Moving on, some very serious allegations were published on Twitter last night by Paul Caruana Galizia, who is one of the sons of the assassinated journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia, about alleged relationships involving cabinet members and Yorgen Fenech. So she's saying that one of the current ministers had constant contact with Yorgen Fenech. Another minister was in regular contact with one of the 3 alleged hitmen. And finally, apparently a junior minister had an affair with Yorgen Fenech. Now, obviously, no names have been published. David Take is repeating the allegations, and it's gaining a little bit of traction. No one has actually been accused of this yet. However, it's they are a pretty serious accusation, especially considering where they're coming from. It's not some random person saying it. It is the son of the journalist who got assassinated who's saying this. And I do expect that there will be some developments in this regard in the coming days. We've officially asked the Prime Minister to speak about this. He hasn't yet. We've sent questions to all the government MPs to clarify whether they are the people involved or not. Yeah, follow lovinmalta.com for more updates in this regard.
It just shows exactly how influential Yorgen Fenech
Absolutely.
has been, you know, under the radar with cabinet members, not cabinet members, but ministers and whatnot, and just how far his reach extends. Really, it's super interesting and scary at the same time, I would say.
Yes, I mean he was like, let's not forget, he was one of the most powerful businessmen in Malta. You know, at the time of his arrest, a lot of people did want to be friends with him, and he was quite, apparently, from what we're hearing, quite generous with his money as well. You know, like he would give gifts to people and take them on, you know, private journeys across Malta or wherever on his yacht. And there was this culture of people, you know, just, you know, lapping it up. And now this is all under the spotlight as a result of his arrest. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the people he was with knew about his alleged murderous intentions. However, I mean, this relationship, this buddy-buddy relationship between big businessmen and decision makers in cabinet, I think it's a great thing for the country that it's been put under the spotlight, because it really does need to, you know, if not end, at least decline quite substantially. Moving on, Miss World Malta contestant calling out a particularly racist comment, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So someone who isn't losing as someone in Friends, in fact, maybe gaining in popularity over the past 24 hours, and perhaps not for the best of reasons, but Miss World contestant and junior college student Martha yesterday spoke out after a particular racist comment was made against her. Someone who, you know, commented on her, like I quote, saying she's not a Maltese breed for whatever reason, and it obviously resulted in a lot of outcry online, public backlash in the online community. She's since, you know, been showed a lot of support, with a lot of people rallying behind her and supporting her for you know, joining the Miss World contestant show, and you know, a lot of people have voted for her as well. You know, which kind of gained a lot of publicity from speaking out against this racist comment. I know I personally voted for her as a result of what happened yesterday, to kind of show my support for her during these times. But it isn't the only case we've had over the past few weeks of, you know, racist comments being made to people, Maltese people. I know, for example, this morning, or was it last night, Malta's performer and actor and singer Roger Terrazona went to his Facebook page to comment about his dealings with racism, being a half Filipino man, and how he's had to deal with racist comments made towards him. As well as, I think, Tim, you published a story a few days ago of a Maltese athlete, Sarah Chual, who also recounted a story of when she was 7 years old, had to deal with racist remarks made against her at school by fellow students. So let's not also forget, in the global scheme of things, sort of anti-racism protests going on worldwide. The issue of racism has once again come to, you know, the forefront of public debate. So it's sad to see that this is still happening in Malta, that people who are Maltese, and it doesn't matter if you're Maltese or foreign, but had racist comments made against them because they're standing up for something. But it's good to see that, you know, in this case, Martha did stand up for herself, did speak out against it, and that she's gained popularity as a result.
I mean, I think what I find really interesting about this is that, you know, as you said, anti-racist voices are starting to, you know, to find their voice. So very often it's you know, the racists who are loudest, even on social media. It's traditionally been the racists who scream the loudest. Now there does seem to be some kind of fight back, including people in the public eye who are willing to share very personal experiences of themselves, who have suffered as a result of this, and there's a lot of sympathy, as you said, being drawn from this as a result, and I think that's great to see. I mean, unfortunately, there is racism, but I think it should be tackled in the open and publicly.
And more people are making an effort, I believe, now to tackle it and speak up. People who otherwise wouldn't have on an issue, who haven't been prejudiced by racist comments, are now speaking up and showing their solidarity with these anti-racist voices and stuff. So it's super good to see.
Yeah, moving on, a study has shown that Malta's property prices have slowed down in the months and weeks prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is really interesting. The study showed that, unsurprisingly, over the past few years, property prices have gone like this. They've accelerated in Malta. However, there was a clear slowdown in the months between January and March, so even like before the COVID-19 pandemic hit. And so in some areas, I think in Valletta and Madlena, the prices actually, average prices of property actually went down. Now, I mean, I find this interesting because there have been a lot of questions raised about the future of the property market in Malta in the wake of the pandemic. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. Some people say properties has always been the safest form of investment because prices always go up, because they have been over the past quite a long, I think, for decades now in Malta, right? The trend has always been for them to go up, so therefore it's the safest form of investment. However, just because something has been the case for a long time does not necessarily mean it will always be the case. And there is also an argument to be made that certain properties in Malta are way overvalued or have been in recent years, and it might actually be not a bad thing for the market to correct itself a little bit. What do you make of it?
Absolutely, not a bad thing for the average Joe like me and you, that we're seeing some market correction happen here. Property prices are starting to readjust themselves in the, and we'll see how, it's interesting to see how how the property market kind of evolves moving forward as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. I know this study takes into consideration the fact that it happened before, but it's interesting to see what the implications of the pandemic will have for property moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, the study said that it's already going to have some impact for sure.
Of course, yeah.
In terms of many aspects, from people being more cautious to actually viewing a property, to people, expecting a kind of crash and therefore not investing because they want to hold off, and therefore that in itself can also lead to the market falling as well. But yes, I mean, this study was conducted in March. We're now almost in July, so I expect some kind of follow-up study, about the actual impact of the pandemic, or the initial impact of the pandemic on prices. And I'd like to see another study carried out by Diara.com, the platform, and let's see if they follow it up.
Absolutely.
Moving on.
Our last story for today concerns a video that went up over the weekend of rabbits being sold at a Paola market. And it caused quite live rabbits. I'm not sure if you haven't seen the video. They were live rabbits that were being handled at a market, being tossed around and thrown into bags, presumably for eating at a later stage. Obviously, in Malta, rabbit is a traditional dish, so it's not uncommon to see people eating rabbits. But I think the video itself, showing the process of these rabbits being taken as live creatures from a basket, being tossed around and shown on display, and then being pushed into a bag and sealed off to their fate, really. Yeah. Caused quite a controversy online, especially from animal rights organizations, specifically Animal Liberation Malta, who at a later stage actually posted photos of these rabbits. So these rabbits, according to the organization, had skin problems, had ear mite infections, and had open wounds with pus oozing out. So obviously there's an issue of hygiene as well, how these rabbits were handled in the right manner, because let's not forget that obviously it is a traditional dish, so it's not surprising to see people buying rabbits, right? It's common here in Malta. We've most of us have tried rabbit at one point in our life, but perhaps it's an issue of hygiene. What do you think, Tim?
I don't know about the hygiene issue, but I mean, we've seen something similar recently when a bunch of activists had gone to the slaughterhouse and started filming the pigs. Remember that?
Oh yes.
And you feel sorry for the pigs, like, oh, poor guys, they're going to be taken in to the slaughter. I mean, at the end of the day, though, if you want to eat rabbit, if you want to eat pork, I mean, you'd rather not see the actual animal, but I think everyone knows exactly what
happens. Yeah, of course.
So yes, I mean, It is.
What did you make of it? What did you make of the video?
It is what it is. I mean, it's sad, but then again, it's sad to see the poor rabbit, with his ears, like looking, confused at what's going on. But at the end of the day, will I sacrifice eating rabbit? Absolutely not. So, so yes, that's all for today. Tomorrow's, as we said at the start,
a new chapter.
A new chapter
in Malta.
Exactly.
COVID-19 is finally,
yes.
The battle has been won, so to speak.
We don't know about that, but anyway, we'll obviously be following it. So make sure to keep track and follow lovinmalta.com for all the latest updates about COVID, Yorgen Fenech and rabbits and
much more
you want. And up until then, have a day full of loving.